Welcome to Russellville, Ohio. And you might wonder, why am I in Ohio? Most of the videos I do are in the middle part of the country, but this is where I grew up. And so I'm home for the holidays, and I'm at the busy, downtown area of Russellville, with a little over 500 people. It is a couple busy roads. It's the intersection of a couple busy roads, and that's why it's at least survived, I think, because it's at least at a place where people pass through. Maybe they'll get some gas. There's a couple businesses still in town. But yeah, so a lot of old memories I'm gonna be talking about here. But first, let's learn about the history of the town, how it got started, how it got its name Russellville, and then we'll end up down the street at the school that I went to for a couple years. Starting our tour down Russellville's Main Street. Russellville is located in Brown County, Ohio. The county has a population of over 40,000 and has grown by about 50% in the last 50 years. So definitely it's growing out this way from Cincinnati. Brown County is in the southwest part of Ohio, borders Kentucky on the south. Russellville is in the eastern part of Brown County. There are 9 incorporated towns in Brown County, and Russellville is the 6th largest out of the 9. The county seat of Georgetown has 4,453, is the largest town. Russell Shaw bought 200 acres of land here in 1810, and then 7 years later he laid out the town in 1817, and the town is named for him. It was mainly a farming community in those early days. People had to go as far as Maysville, Kentucky, about 20 miles away, to do their trading in the early days. Post office opened in 1826. Shaw opened the first store here in 1834, and after that other businesses started, like blacksmiths, physicians, a hat manufacturer, a mechanic, and a hotel. First school was built around that time as well. It was a round log cabin. And a Presbyterian church was started around the 1830s as well. In 1842, a steam sawmill was built by the Miller brothers. Right here at this intersection, there's the Ohio Revolutionary Memorial Trail marker. There's only maybe 3 of these left. And on the inscription, it was built in 1930, it says $50 fine or 10-day imprisonment, or both, for defacing this marker. $50 or 10 days. It's pretty funny. The first of 2 Brown County fairs were held here in Russellville, 1852 to 1853. The Brown County Fair is certainly a popular thing here in the area, and so Russellville had the first 2 of them, and then they moved it over to the county seat of Georgetown. Russellville was along a common route of the Underground Railroad. People would cross the Ohio River near Ripley and then head north to the unincorporated community of Red Oak and then to Russellville. And it's about 10 miles from here to the river. There was obviously a lot of division over slavery in those times, so people who participated in the Underground Railroad dealt with a lot of animosity from many people. That is the W.L. Johnson Carriage Factory. Was built in 1850 and is one of the beautiful landmarks here along the main street of Russellville. The Russellville to Georgetown Turnpike was built in 1872. That helped get people to the county seat 7 miles away. The Russellville to Winchester Turnpike finished in 1871. That's 10 miles away, and that's the road that I grew up on. The Cincinnati, Georgetown, and Portsmouth Railroad arrived to Russellville in 1905 and was abandoned by 1934. The population has been amazingly consistent from the early days of 386 and 465 in the 1850s and 1860s. Remained pretty much the same until 2000, and then has increased in the last couple censuses to 542 today. not too far from here and really never even knew this cemetery existed. It's obviously an old cemetery named after Russell Shaw. And I think that he's supposed to be buried here. No idea where, we'll just have to try to find it. Hard to read. It says Shreve, I don't know why it says Shaw. And right in the middle of the cemetery, there it is. There's the original, born 1781, died 1861. And they've obviously updated this one in 1997, so pretty cool. I would have really had trouble finding that. Guessing this was his wife, Josana Shaw, born 1779, died 1861. They both lived a long, happy life, hopefully. This has the entire family when they were born and passed away. I don't think there's been anybody buried here since the 1800s, at least of the ones I could read. Next up is my old junior high on the corner of Washington and Sir William Wallace Street. This version of the school, I think, was built in 1934. That's what it says on the rocks there. It was an older school originally. It's called the Rambler Center now because we were the Russellville Ramblers. And there's the Victory Bell. I don't ever remember ringing the Victory Bell for any reason, but I'm sure it was back in the day. That's the gymnasium. Wasn't able to go in there today. That was unfortunate, but played a lot of basketball in there. That's where I went to 5th grade. And 6th grade was upstairs. 7th and 8th grade downstairs. This was Mr. Buechler's class. This is my math teacher. He ended up being my high school track coach and also one of my basketball coaches. And walking down the hallway here, this is the main area, the old part of the building that I was showing you on the bottom part. Couldn't go to the upstairs part or the gymnasium because there's a Mennonite community that uses this building for their school now. So those places are a little bit off limits to visitors from the outside, but always cool to go back and go walk the halls that you walked so many times as a little kid. Everything seems so much smaller nowadays, and you see the pictures on the wall from when it was a high school. Obviously became a junior high with consolidation later on. There's a picture of the original school, probably built before 1934, and then a picture of the town. And a funny part of this picture is down in the corner. You see some kids fighting with a guy who might have been their referee. Short walk from the gymnasium over here to the baseball field. When I started doing this channel and started doing small towns, I always thought, man, I want to go back to where I grew up and do towns, and do whether Small Town USA or ghost towns or something like that. In the first year I did the channel, I actually did do a few. Me and my brother, and we just drove around and found some ghost towns kind of in this area of where we grew up, learned a lot. But I'm glad I waited for a while until I did Russellville, which is the town I'm most associated with growing up. I grew up about 4 or 5 miles east of here on a farm, on a tobacco farm, and but this is where I went to school. I actually went to kindergarten through 4th in a place called Ash Ridge, which is just north of here, and the school is still there, and it's kind of remarkable. It's not a school anymore, but it's a community, had a post office way back in the day, and so cool to show you that. And then in the 5th grade, this is where I came to school and was here from 5th grade through 8th grade, and those were very formative years. I'm sitting here at the baseball field, and there's so many days were spent here. As a little kid, so I would have been, this is in the 1980s when I was, 5th through 8th grade here. you know, you'd play baseball all day. That was a thing in small communities. And this was the field. I remember this was the dugout for us. And I can remember getting a trophy over in those bleachers. I think they were probably wooden bleachers at the time. But it's crazy to sit here after going through all the towns I've visited on this channel, and now to come back here and to try to take a look at this town in a way that I've looked at other towns that I didn't live in. And you think you know about where you grow up, and then in this video I've learned so much. I kind of knew that there was a guy named Russell that the town was named after, but didn't know anything about him. I certainly didn't know he was buried here. I didn't even know there was a cemetery over there. And it's not a big town, so it's so funny how many times that we've driven past that and not have really even pierced my consciousness. Yeah, I can just remember playing games here and then trying to get over to the concession stand to try to get some Fun Dip or Pixie Sticks or anything with sugar in it. And that was like the mission of the day. So the whole point of saying all that is that, you know, do you know about the history of your town? If you like watching videos like this and learning about other towns, do you know about your history of your town where you grew up? And I'm almost embarrassed to say I didn't know as much as I should have about this town. And it certainly makes me want to come back to Brown County, where this is the county that Russellville is in, and learn more about it. It is a very historical place. Ulysses S. Grant is from here, but it's still a very rural place with a lot of small towns. So someday I'll come back. It's hard to get back here very often for me because it's pretty far away from where I live, but certainly every time I come back I need to make some videos about this area. Hopefully you have enjoyed it. Not only did I love playing baseball here, but many of you know that like I'm a track coach, and I was an athlete. I was a sprinter for a long time, and this was the first place I ever had track practice, in this field where the baseball field is, because there was nowhere else to go. And so we would practice here. We'd run around this baseball field, and that was how we got ready. We had no track or anything like that. And where my high school, Eastern High School, where it's at now, is a new high school, and we didn't have a track at all there either. We would go to meets all the time because we had nowhere to really practice except for like an open field. And we had a really good team. We were like the district champions of Cincinnati, the whole city, and we had no track. And what's cool is that they just put in a new rubberized track at my high school, and we have our family name as one of the donations on there. And so that was awesome to see that, you know, how many years later, it's been a lot of years, over 30 years later, they finally have the track they deserve at Eastern High School. Hopefully you have enjoyed this, even though it's not in the middle of the country where we do most of these videos. I'll see you down a back road. Hey buddy, you having a good day? Say hi to YouTube. Go ahead and bark.